Guess it's time we get back to work here. The game never says anything about what the player character's been doing since we worked with Lynn, so I suppose we've been in kind of limbo until this point. Huh. The intro bit for the game mentioned dragons as well. I doubt we're gonna see any anytime soon, though, even if the game's text feels the need to remind us of things we saw in the intro. Though I suppose we never heard anything about the 8 generals, so that should be interesting. I'm sure I'm gonna forget this bit of lore as the game goes on. Frustrating, since I'm sure it's gonna be important to the story as it goes forward. I know we already have heard that apparently St. Emblem has a church in these lands, so I doubt I'll forget that. Does that mean that the plains people of Seika are essentially the Mongols or something in this place? Ilia, isn't that where Florina flew in from? I'm pretty sure every nation has its warriors, so what makes the Berserkers of the Western Isles so impressive compared to the other national warriors? I'm sure that Roland somehow ended up being the main hero of that old journey. Mostly because 2 of the 3 heroes of this game are born in Lycia, and the 3rd has a grandfather there, so yeah, definitely a central location. Now that you've mentioned it, the peace will probably crumble over the course of this campaign. That's how these things typically go. Well, if it hasn't known conflict in generations, it's possible that the fighters there aren't particularly good, since they haven't had to be before now. Let's just see how many of them we're gonna have to whip into shape. Guess we're setting up a rescue party then. Hopefully, Freya has men to spare for both a rescue and its own defense. But with our luck, we're gonna have to have our hero head home at some point to save it because it's under-defended. Not too sure why the game felt the need to tell us he's a redhead when we can clearly see that. It's not like the graphics are in black and white or something. Hopefully it's just taking leave of his home, not his senses, so I suppose working with a protagonist who's a little on the nutty side would be an interesting idea. Possibly something they should consider for a future game. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to see his mother again if she looks this distinctive, though I can't help feeling that Eliwood inherited more from his father than his mother. Well, seeing as how he's the main character of this story, I don't think anything especially brutal is gonna happen to him, personally. Well, if he's alive, but detained somehow, going after him is going to be dangerous. Especially since he probably had a lot more people following him than Eliwood will. Well, this girl looks pretty distinctive as well. Excuse me for saying this, but I'm pretty sure that the Marquess's wife should be the one with lipstick on, not the current captain of her guard. Not that either of them look bad in any way, just that the Queen probably has to be more concerned with presentation than the knight next to her. But then I suppose presentation would be important for both of them to some degree outside of the battlefield. doesn't seem all that reassuring to me, since that's just 3 people in this party at the moment. I know it's just the start of this new campaign, but still, I can't help feeling I would prefer to start things off with half a dozen people to command in battle after all the battles we've already had to go through just to get this far. Understandable. I'm pretty sure the Kingdom of Pharrea is short-staffed as it is right now. Not as short-staffed as Kaelin is in the aftermath of Lundgren's attempt at the throne there, but still. What? Did you give him a deadline to gather a small army by 2 o'clock or something? Bandits. We're back to fighting against bandits. Bloody hell. It's not really that big of a surprise, but still, we spent a pretty solid chunk of the previous campaign fighting against bandits, and I doubt these guys are gonna be anything worth remembering. And what makes you think this village has all that much in the way of gold anyway? It looks fairly generic to me. But then every town and city looks the same, given our current perspective here. They only have so many backgrounds to put behind the portraits of these characters, after all. What? Did you honestly think nobody would hear about the Marquess and the best of your knights disappearing for a month? It's no surprise some bastards felt that the area was ripe for the picking. Well, hello there, Rebecca. Well, so long as they don't leave or decide to burn the village down once they're done stealing from it, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Oh, there's no chance in hell she's gonna just sit this one out when her home is being raided. Not when she has a unique portrait. Well, I won't say no to some ranged fighters, but then I'm not part of the party just yet. I don't suppose we'll see this person's portrait as well, will we? Right, of course, there's only one tactician for anyone to meet in the world in this game. And it's the faceless, voiceless player avatar who has surprisingly little impact in the bare-bones story despite making everything possible for the heroes to prevail. I'm not quite sure what I was expecting for our character's introduction to Eliwood's campaign, but I suppose us stumbling onto him as he has to deal with bandits in his realm is as good a way as any for us to join his currently small crew. You mean other than the plot? Nothing in particular, we're just between jobs, and it looks like you're hiring. I wish I could find it in me to agree with that. Unfortunately, Wesker has no personal story in this game in any of the 3 campaigns. So really, It's just an excuse to have very little to say about our motivations rather than some lifelong goal to constantly improve our skills in a given field. Yeah, looks like numbers are very much not on our side here, but then we rarely have the advantage in numbers at the start. Let's see what we can do to start cutting some of these bastards down. It's certainly going to be a bit of an annoyance since I got too used to having Nils and Sarah along as support units, but I'm sure things won't be all that difficult to start this campaign off considering our small crew has everyone at level 1. In hindsight, I probably should have had Rebecca make the first shot instead of Elliewood there. Okay, so Marcus has nothing but steel weapons. I kind of have the distinct feeling that he's supposed to be overpowered much like Oscar in the previous campaign. Which of course means I'm less tempted to use him. 2 people hitting him and he's not dead. I suppose that's good. Looks like Lowen is the first character in this campaign to gain a kill. Guess I just have a thing for people who run around on horseback. Probably the fact that they can switch between using spears and swords. Which means it's pretty tough to get them at a disadvantage in terms of the weapon triangle. The high mobility is certainly appealing as well, and look at that. We just gained 2 axemen to fight for us without having to do anything. One of whom we're pretty damn familiar with. And I'm sure said Lordling has a pretty solid wallet to pay you boys for your troubles, so come on down. Okay, 6 people on our team, though one of them I'm unlikely to actually have do any of the fighting because he's meant to be overpowered at the start. So effectively 5 fighters and a meat shield if we need to have someone take blows for the sake of stalling or something. We've also got very little luck because Elliewood is taking absolutely every hit that comes his way, regardless of how low those odds are. Things could be better, but they could be worse. It's manageable at the moment, no need to start worrying, but no temptation to get complacent either. Yeah, no harm in Bartray landing this hit. I can't help wondering if I'm mispronouncing his name. I also can't help finding it funny that for some reason it feels like Japanese media is better at throwing around names that come from multiple different cultures than American-made stuff. And the United States is supposed to be the country with multiple ethnicities in it. It's not really a complaint about a lack of diversity or anything like that. Just an odd observation that Japanese writers seem more willing to throw around names that sound strange to them than writing in the United States. The steel lance isn't going to do Lowen any good here. Still, may as well deal with that while I'm thinking about it. Possibly should have had Dorcas land that blow earlier, but I want the experience points to be kinda spread out right now. Besides, Dorcas is the only guy in this team at the moment that's pretty high-leveled, relatively speaking. We'll see how much him being a veteran makes him useful in this second campaign, or if I'm gonna stop using him because of lack of enemy spears. I'd probably feel more confident in using him if he could use swords, considering the sheer number of axe bastards we're dealing with. But at least he doesn't have a disadvantage against them. Nice to know that the Lord is well liked by his subjects. He's certainly going to try, and I'll do what I can to help him succeed. I don't believe anyone around here has a fighting style that involves using a kite shield. Still, I guess there's no harm in accepting the items, especially since it's probably going to work the same as that angel cloak we got pretty early on and gave to Lynn. I'm sure paying attention to weapon levels would matter a good deal more on the harder difficulty, but we didn't even have the option to select that for our first playthrough. Just like we didn't have a choice between Hector or Eliwood for this campaign. Then why have this conversation in the first mission of the second campaign? Why not wait until we got to a point where some of our characters are likely to get close to leveling up their weapons to a high degree? Well, at least the enemy is finally starting to miss. I'm pretty sure that Rebecca can survive the counterattack. I was kinda tempted to just keep Eliwood back and let him heal on that fortress some more, but considering we only have one person who's above level 1, and we're outnumbered, we want as many people on the front line as we can get right now. Which of course makes me feel like more of an ass for removing Marcus's weapons and making him completely defenseless. I guess the other three aren't gonna move unless we move closer to them. Right, figured it was another permanent statty increase item, but it was worth double checking. Yeah, there's only one enemy that Rebecca can finish off, and everyone else on the line is wounded enough that one of the melee fighters could bring them down in a single hit anyway, so no need to soften them up. But again, I'm pretty inclined to try to spread the experience points out in this mission. Let everyone get a chance to do some damage. It probably helps that I don't really have any plans on anyone specifically becoming higher leveled. We'll just see where the kills end up on the board as we do things. And Dorcas just added another to his score. I'm sure there are plenty of Fire Emblem players who look at what I've been doing in this slowly updating LP and feeling I'm not in any way efficient, that I could be doing things better. But hey, we've only taken 2 casualties over the course of the 21 clips so far, both of which were a single man who's with us right now. I'm sure that means I'm doing something right somewhere, despite my lack of being an absolutely amazing player. Yeah, I just feel more comfortable having swordsmen fight against axe users. Why did this mission decide to give us 2 axe users to start things off with? Hell, if they were gonna give us 2 axe users at once, they should have done so in a mission where we were dealing with multiple spear users. But then for some reason bandits never seem to use spears, despite that being a very cheap weapon to make and one of the most common things in medieval and older combat. Are they referring to some character we'll see when this mission is over, or was that a reference to the player character? I don't think so, since that last sentence mentioned this person was on a mission and Wesker is blatantly someone with no real goals or destination in mind. Still, it felt vague enough that it could have fit, and that itself is pretty appropriate since the player character in this game is so vague for the explicit purpose of being an easy-to-insert avatar for someone who doesn't actually live in this world. I'm pretty sure there are better ways to write for such a silent character, but we're definitely not gonna see that kind of writing here. Yeah, we're not going to get these guys to move unless we get closer, and just standing here isn't gonna get us anywhere. We'll see how Ellwood does as the center point of the attention of the 2 of these bastards, and I'm hoping the third is dumb enough to go after Dorcas and get killed instantly. I'm not even sure why I'm being indecisive right now. Hell, I'm kind of getting the feeling that in future Fire Emblem's Let's Plays, I should just work on the commentary immediately after recording a mission. Not leave a large chunk of the game on my drives for months, if not years, until I finally get around to it, and might very easily not know my own tactical thoughts when I start commenting on the tactics-focused game. Right, so 2 were focused on Dorcas and the third went to Rebecca, who I thought was safe. Nobody died, but that still feels like I probably should have predicted how they'd move a bit better. Yeah, seems like Dorcas has managed to get 3 fresh kills in this clip. It probably says something that puts him in 4th place. Still, with Zane, Kent, and Lynn absent for a good chunk of this campaign, he's gonna have plenty of time to catch up. That's Bartre's first. Regardless of how he might grow, I'm very much more likely to use Dorcas as our dedicated axeman since, well, we're more familiar with him. Not that the game did anything to make him especially interesting considering the lack of character interactions, but hey, sometimes the only real deciding factor for liking one character over another is something minor. And I've seen nothing from Bartre to make me feel anything for him either way. whereas we met Dorcas by saving his wife. That feels like a bit more of a personal connection there. Okay, so the rapier increases our hit rate but removes 1 point of damage from our attack, and the steel sword has more swings in it. Either way, this looks like the kind of boss that Elliewood can take on without too much help. Wonder how long until we start running into absolutely bullshit bosses again. I'm certainly not looking forward to that, that's for certain. Really? Both sides missed that first turn. Kind of confused about the run of luck in this mission. But the lower chance hand axe managed to get a very solid hit there. It's almost enough to make me not want to bother paying attention to the hit numbers around here. Wonder why I chose not to have Lowen throw the javelin there. Everyone else with a ranged weapon has been getting their licks in. Do I just want to ensure that Elliewood gets at least 1 kill in his debut mission or something? Well, if Elliewood is lucky enough with his next strike, he's securing the final kill here. Not that the others have especially great chances of finishing the job in the next turn, but I'm feeling confident enough. And that does it. Elliewood is on the board, and we're done with this mission. You need skill to go with the luck, and the more skill you have, the less you rely on luck. And as I say that, we gain a point in luck. Anyway, looks like we're gonna have to have Elliewood secure that town the guy was sending in before we're allowed to move to the next mission. At least we won't have to worry about tutorial messages in this campaign.